Welcome to Hotspur Way, Season 1, Episode 2. In this show, we discuss
Liverpool and the annihilation that we imposed on them, or inflicted on them.
Yep. West Ham. That's enough.
Yep.
United.
Well, okay.
What expression do you want to do for them?
United.
Okay.
Well,
Then we cover Real Madrid and the London derby at Crystal Palace. We also delve into some, well, I'd say deep philosophical debates on
it wasn't
Levy.
really philosophical.
Well, it was.
Just
Come
having a
on.
go at Levy.
Well, I wasn't having a go. I think it
No,
was great.
I was.
Yeah, I know you were. You have a go at everyone.
Yeah.
Right, so that's it. Hope you enjoy the show, and
See
that's
you next
it.
time.
Bye. Hi, I'm James,
I am Suts.
and welcome to episode 2, season 1 of Hotspur Way. Right, so we've had amazing games against West Ham and United, and a shocker against Liverpool. If only that was true. Because it's been a while since we recorded, and we're going to be recording once every 2 weeks now, because you can't be bothered.
Yep.
Yeah, there you go. It's not my fault. Tell us about Liverpool, because I thought it was the best game that we've played for a long, long time.
We discussed it before the game last week, if you remember, and we said how we're going to beat them, and I mentioned the previous game where there was that play with Eriksen getting through, one-touch football on the right-hand side, ball went through, Eriksen got onto the end of it, went to put the shot in but scuffed it, and then Davies came in and put the goal in. If you saw the way we played this week, it was almost identical.
Last week.
2 weeks ago. A week ago, yeah. The first goal, knocked over by, it was one-touch football on the right-hand side again. Ball was chipped over. Lovren was just nowhere. Kane went through. Beautiful control. Smacked it into the back of the net. Second goal, a lob or a throw out by Lloris over the top of Lovren again. And he went through, and for once, Kane had his head screwed on and actually passed the ball to Son
That's
to
hard.
finish it. He does. I have this issue with Kane that occasionally he is too concentrated on scoring.
Okay.
And there are instances when he's surrounded by 2 or 3 players, and you'll see the frustration on his teammates when he just goes for the shot when they're open. Now, okay, I mean, yeah, he's a top scorer, best striker in the league at the moment, but he could be even better. That's what I'm trying to get at. But anyhow, going back to the Liverpool game, Pochettino firstly outthought Klopp.
Yeah, but
Kane
can
outthought their defence.
One minute. Let me just say something. I can't stand Liverpool. Right? If those of you know me, I really can't stand Liverpool to the point where I probably hate them more than Arsenal, if that makes any sense, because I went to school with a bunch of Liverpool fans in the early 90s, and they adored Liverpool, all from London, and I couldn't stand them. I really don't like them. But Klopp has no control over how Lovren plays. He did the kind of thing that I would, you've seen me play in central defence, that I would do if I was playing an 11-a-side game. A manager can't control that.
No, but this is what I was saying about Kane outfought their defence. He scared them to death.
They were terrified of him.
They were terrified.
They were absolutely
and Lovren
terrified.
especially.
Yeah.
That's why he, as a defender, you just try to get to the ball first because you think you're not going to be able to handle this player. So what will I do? All right, I stood off him last time, tried to play him offside. He got past me. What am I going to do this time? I'm going to try and get to the ball first.
Yeah.
So that he can't get it, and he completely missed it.
What a pleb.
So the third goal, it was obviously, I think it was it was knocked out, wasn't it, to Vertonghen. He took a shot, ricocheted back to Kane, but he was the first one there to get the ball and put it in.
It's the fourth goal.
Was that the fourth?
Yeah.
Okay, what was the third one?
Dele Alli's. Again, your class defender Matip, who you would have over one of our defenders for some unknown reason.
Yeah.
You need to apologise for that, by the way. You really.
No, I still think he's the best player they've got.
Oh wow! Then that means Liverpool are in
Apart from
a real crisis.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, apparently he's going to be gone as well during January. But
Okay.
so let's just wrap Liverpool up. I think it was the best game that I've seen us play in a while, not just this season, but actually in a while.
Yeah.
I think the last few games of last season where we were just destroying teams, I think this is up there with that because we were playing a good side. You know,
Yeah.
let's not think about that.
They're supposedly a good side.
Right.
They've been on and off. They're very, very bitty as a team.
Yeah, exactly. Let's move on. Next game
Yes. Well,
was
what can we say?
was it Haribo Cup? Is that what they call it? Or Carabao?
Carabao. Some
It
sort
should be Haribo. Can we call it the Haribo Cup on this show?
No, because
come
we're not
on.
in it.
Yeah, well, we're not in it.
What's the point?
Yeah. So
And
we
we
were.
won it, yes.
We were in the Haribo Cup.
Is it made from carobs?
Caribs? I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know.
just
Carabao? I'm not too sure.
Anyway.
We've got a few listeners from the Paphos region. In fact, I'll give Pani a shout out, who is from the Latchie area. Those of you in the UK who are listening, you have no idea what we're talking about. Just Google Latchie, L-A-T. How do you spell it?
L-A-T-S-I.
Is
Oh,
that-
no, L-A-T-C-H-I.
There you go. Yeah, it's a lovely place to go on holiday. And if you've got car troubles, just go and see Pani. So I, talking about that game,
Yeah.
we didn't watch it together, but I was at the meeting pub and I did turn around to Kiri and I said to him, it was just me and him there actually watching it, and I said to him, I think we're going to lose this game. And then we went 2-0 up, and I said, mate, as soon as the second goal went, I said, I think we're going to lose this 3-2. And he goes, no, don't be stupid. I said, they are making us look great. We're in second gear, and I tweeted at that point a picture of a car in second gear because I thought we are not even playing. And as soon as I tweeted it, lo and behold, West Ham go and score. And when that went in, I turned around to him and I said, mate, it's 3-2. It's going to happen. It's 3-2.
Yeah.
And he told me to shut up. I did. Then it was 3-2. And the rest is history. But I think that we really didn't turn up. I couldn't believe how bad their players were because it was nearly a full-strength West Ham side, you would say. Ours wasn't. But they had a good team. I think Hernandez was on the bench and he was like shaking his head not constantly. But other than that, it seemed as though they wanted Bilic sacked. That's what it looked like to me. And then for some reason...
No, they were playing with fear first half. They didn't know how to react, I believe. They were just sitting back and sitting off of us. Second half, he must have given him a right old earful in the changing room. Yeah, it must have done something, or it helped the fact that they got the goal before the end of the first half. But they were all up for it. Second half, our players came out. They just looked completely couldn't be bothered. It was almost as if they had the opposite. That Pochettino says to them, "Look, boys, we don't want this cup. Let's not bother with this game.
Yeah.
Let's literally just give up on it. Let them do what they want." And we sat back.
Yep.
And every time we know that, okay, we've got a great defence, but if you sit back, eventually something's going to go against you. And it did.
Yep.
And they just demoralised the team then. At the end of the game, nobody seemed to be too bothered though. Ourselves, we weren't bothered.
I wasn't
the
bothered.
Players weren't bothered.
Yeah, okay, you say that, but on Twitter, you're not on Twitter, are you?
No.
Well, you should be. Once the show starts getting some traction,
Okay.
I want to make sure that you are. But there were some... I saw Pochettino out on Twitter, and I can't believe this. I really can't believe this. And then we had a lot of people saying, he's got to win a trophy. And me and you, we spoke about this before we started recording.
Yeah.
And what I said is, I understand that this team has to win something. But, and there is a big but here, if we don't win anything, but we carry on playing the way we are, because I grew up in the 80s, and I don't really remember the 84 team, but I remember I really sort of got into Spurs around about the 90s team. So I saw Gazza do what he did for the FA Cup. And after that, need I remind you that we had Ozzy Ardiles. We met, okay? He was a lovely guy and everything. Can't manage shit. Then we had Jerry Francis, Christian Gross, and it just went from bad to worse in the 90s. So the football that I'm seeing right now is the best I have ever seen. The team that I'm seeing right now, if you speak to the guys who supported the side in the 60s, are saying it's very close to the 60s team.
Yeah.
So, from my point of view, is if we were to win this Haribo Cup, okay, or whatever it's called, the Carabao Cup, then I think next season what you would have is a lot of people saying, yeah, but Spurs have only won that League Cup. What else? They should be winning the league. So I don't think you'll ever please anyone.
Do you really think that people are going to just be saying that? They're not going to say that.
I really believe that they would.
Because it's not... the whole point is, though, that we weren't aiming just for a cup. We were aiming to finish second or third again, plus a cup. We have to get something. Because if you don't do that, I can foresee that some of the players are going to start getting disheartened and say, look, first of all, I'm not being paid enough. Secondly, we've been doing this now for 3 years in a row and we keep getting there but not quite there. Where's it going wrong? I'm being offered now money to go to Real for X amount. I'm being moneyed now, say Dyer, for example. Why do I want to I'm not getting paid. I'm going to go to United. They've got a chance. They've won championships. They've won big cups. They've done this, that and the other. So a lot of the players, this is where my worry would be. I do believe we do need to win something, only to keep the players there. If we don't, I can see the whole team just breaking apart.
Okay, now this is where I have a problem. If you think that we are going to keep the players there because we've won the Carling Cup, okay, if you think that's the reason why the players are going to stay, I think you're wrong.
No.
1 minute. Let me finish. One sec.
We discussed it earlier.
I know, but I need to say something. Kyle Walker is paying in tax what Danny Rose earns a week.
Okay.
Right? He knows how much his mate's on. That's why he came out on what he said to The Sun. And before that, I can't believe that everyone seems to have forgotten what he said on the radio as well, on BBC Radio. He actually said the same thing, but everyone seems to have forgotten about that. These players know what their mates are on, okay? And they are on 3 times the amount of money. Now, Flav from The Fighting Cock says that if you earn 50 grand a week, then you're at that happiness peak. I understand that, and I'd love to earn 50 grand a week. But if someone comes along and says, you know what, I'm going to actually pay you what you're worth, because the going rate for Harry Kane, for instance, right now is what, 250, 300 grand a week? Okay, and Harry Kane's on apparently 100 grand a week, plus bonuses. I'm not saying Harry Kane's going to leave, but if we don't start looking at increasing the players' wages, okay, then we are going to have a problem. And it's not just about winning one cup. If we were to go on, let's just say we went on to win the league this season and maybe the Carabao Cup, then I would be with you and I'd say fair enough. And then what Levy would do, we just moved into a new stadium, guys. Here's the increase. Apparently, the rumor is that Spurs, that the players are on massive incentivized bonuses. So if they were to win things, then they are on the kind of money that City and United pay. This is the rumor that's going on. I don't know how true that is.
I've not heard that.
Okay, but if that is the case, it's like a carrot that they can maybe reach one day, but at the moment they're not reaching it. Because I still believe that we're 1 or 2 players away, world-class players away, from reaching that carrot and eating it. So I believe that just by winning the League Cup, it's not going to make a player go, I don't mind being, on 60 grand a week when I can earn 150. I don't mind that because I've just won the League Cup. I don't think that's the case. I really don't.
I don't. Listen, it's not just winning the League Cup, okay? You've got a squad of players. They're not going to be playing every week, okay? Week in, week out.
Right.
They need to be playing in games that matter as well.
Yeah.
So, give them the Carabao Cup. It's a chance to blood our kids. Don't just give up on it. I think if it's not the Carabao Cup, if it's the FA Cup, you're going to say then now the FA Cup's also unimportant. If we don't win the FA Cup, it doesn't mean anything. But if I believe that we need to go for that. We need to go for... This year will be an unsuccessful season if we don't win anything, i.e. cups or league.
I agree with that.
If we don't get to at least the semi-finals of the Champions League and at least finish in the top 3 of the Premier League, because this year it's what with the amount of money that other teams have spent, if we don't finish in the top 3, it's going to be a disappointing season.
I think we're going to finish 4th because of the Wembley factor. I know we've spoken about that as well.
Okay.
But of course I wanted us to win the Carabao Cup. Of course I did.
No, I don't even say win it. Get further than losing to West Ham.
Yeah, I know, but things like that happen. I think that... Look, the main thing that I had a problem with at the time was that he put out a second string side, let's call it. It wasn't completely second string because it had some, it had Toby in there and Dele and whatnot. But I think that he rested players. Kane, we've since found out, was injured for the Man U game. Mm-hmm. But he did rest players so that they could go to United and win, and we lost there as well.
Yeah.
And I think that there are some really fine lines that we have to look at. If we had beaten United, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now. I think even if we had drawn with them, we wouldn't be having this conversation. And I think that Pochettino didn't set out the team to go out and lose. And I think he must have given them a right old rollicking at the end of that game. Because I don't think that they went out there to lose. At the end of the game,
yes, but at half-time, I can imagine that he just said, look, guys, we had a great half, let's just continue going the way we are.
Yeah, but I don't think Maurizio's like that. I've got his new book. Yeah. Right? I'll have to give it to you to read. Right, it's a fascinating read. Absolutely amazing. Mm-hmm. And I'm starting to see things about our manager that I didn't know. Mm-hmm. I mean, he can be a bit of an arsehole.
Okay.
He can actually be super straight and be a bit of an arsehole when he needs to be. And so I don't think he's the kind of guy that would have said at half-time, guys, just go out there and see it through. I don't think he...
No, I don't think he says see it through. I think he says, right, that was one of the best halves we played for a while.
You think so?
No.
But I don't think that we played very well at all. I thought that...
I don't think we played... Oh, we did.
I think West Ham... Yeah, but I think West Ham, for whatever the reason was, let us play. And I was watching the game and I'm going, I don't understand.
But regardless of that, we were still playing very, very well.
You can only play what's put in front of you, and West Ham didn't put much in front of us, and I think that was the issue. So when they did
we didn't carry on the same.
But the thing is,
with the same enthusiasm and momentum that we had in the first half.
No, because
we gave up.
Yeah, but I think the reason why we gave up was because we were in second gear or 1.5 gears. United weren't even in. I mean, they are United, aren't they?
Yeah.
Well, West Ham United. They weren't even in a gear, and then when they finally went into first, our players went, well, what do we do now? It was like that.
That's what I'm saying. They didn't keep up the intensity they were using in the first half.
Yeah.
They just sat back saying, okay, we're slaughtering this lot. We don't even need to try hard anymore. And then when West Ham actually came out and started battling them, they were like, okay, guys, what do we do now?
So, taking what you've just said, do you see parallels with what you've just said in the United game?
No. The United game was completely different in the sense that it was more of a tactical game. They were both teams trying to hold possession, trying to create gaps and opportunities. It was very, very, very few opportunities that were actually created through the whole of the game. And they were just, it was almost a fear of losing it.
Don't you think that we really bossed the first half and then we lost the second half? Because the game that I watched,
I wouldn't say bossed it.
Okay, it's a bit of a strong word. I don't think we bossed it, but I think we were the better team in the first. I think we were the better team in the first half.
Agreed. Although we created the better chances in the second.
But they're the ones who scored.
Exactly.
And at the end of the day, you know what? That's what wins league titles.
Exactly.
The fact that you take your chances. I think it's two things. It's a lack of concentration and taking your chances. If Delhi had put that one away, where it was a volley snapshot, if it had just crept in, I think we would have gone on to win the game.
I think Delhi, I don't know if he said it himself, but I noticed something that he said about it. It looked like he was almost trying to knock it into the left-hand corner of the goal instead of just knocking it to the right, because the goalkeeper was moving it. And I think if he'd have just kept his foot, instead of trying to knock it to the left and just guide it in straight in front of him to the corner that he was actually running towards, that was obviously a goal. I don't know whether he was trying to make it overcomplicated or not.
I think that you've got to remember that he's only 21, and I think that he was just trying to score. I don't think that he was thinking about it too much. You've got to understand how fast that moment was. I think he has these instincts. But I think he's a really instinctive player in that he knows that the ball's going to come in at that angle, and he's going to try and get whatever he can on the end of it, and hopefully it'll go in. I think that with time and experience, he'll be the type of player that the instinct is there, but also the finishing is there as well. Now, hopefully he'll be with us by the time he's reached that level.
Well, this is going back to what we were talking about earlier.
But I think that if he puts that away, then we win the game. Let's talk about Dyer, though. Now, I don't want to ever dig out any of our players, but what did you say before we started recording about Dyer?
It was a lack of concentration.
It was, though, wasn't it?
He was looking towards the player coming on. He looked towards the player who was marking. Then he looked back towards the player to see what he was going to do with the ball. And in that instant, he'd slowed his momentum. He'd slowed down almost just so that he can keep an eye on the player with the ball. And in that split second, Martial went, the extra bit of pace. By the time Dyer returned, he'd got past him.
Yeah, I'd love him at Spurs, by the way. Sorry to interrupt, but
Who, Martial?
oh,
He's okay.
he can see space before it even appears. He's been that player since he was 18, and it's quite rare to find a player like that. Delhi's like that, where they can see the space, but the difference is with him and Delhi is that he's a lot faster. Anyway, so going back to what you were saying.
Yeah, I think it was just basically loss of concentration in that one moment. He'd been playing so well, Dyer. The whole back three had been playing really, really well, and they completely marked him out of the game, all their strikers. But at that instant, it was like getting near the end of the game. I don't know whether or not he thought that the Tongan was looking after Martial and he was going to go towards the player with the ball. But it was just a lack of concentration. He should have had his main stuck on the player coming through.
Do you think then that with our, people call us a young team, do you think that will get better over the next 2-3 seasons? If we have this group of players together, do you think that lack of concentration that we have seen over the last 2-3 years, which has prevented us from winning the league, let's be honest, do you think that will get better so that if we can keep this group of players together, then we will not walk the league, but win it in the next 2-3 years, for
don't
instance?
forget, in this instance, he was playing in the back three. He hadn't played that yet this year. He's been playing in the central midfield area.
Which is where he prefers to play, apparently.
Where he prefers to play. So he had to change his mindset. That, in the central midfield area, you can still jog back. In this instance, he was supposed to be keeping an eye on his player. So I don't know whether that's anything to do with youth or not. I think it's just that he switched off. That's all it was. I mean, if we talk about the youth and so on, look at Harry Winks. He was so dominant in the previous games against Real. He was superb. For England, he was superb. We talked about before. But at the end of this United game, you could see how tired he was, and the mistakes started to creep in. So if he was making those mistakes, but he'd been running around like an idiot all the way through the game, then of course Dyer's going to do it as well. It could be fatigue.
Could be. I think that if we can keep these players together, then Guardiola can go and buy as many fullbacks and players as he wants. I think that we will win the league, and I think that we have the best chairman, probably big statement, but in the world. I'll explain why.
I've never liked Levy personally. But,
okay, I don't know the guy.
I think he's getting better.
I think that he's finally found the manager. Yeah, but I think he's finally found the manager that is in line with what he wants. And the guy's not an idiot. You can say whatever you want about Levy. Or Levy. I don't know how you pronounce it, Levy or Levy. He's not an idiot. And surely he realises that sooner or later, unless I start upping the contracts of these players, like Toby, for instance, who we have to tie down as soon as possible, okay, because otherwise we stand to lose him for less than 30 million at the end of this season, basically, then he knows what he needs to do.
Listen, Levy is a businessman, number one, okay?
Yeah, but you don't break up your business. I know where you're going with this. You don't break up your business so you can sort out your balance sheet. You have to look long term.
Yes, I completely agree. And in the past, what he has done is he's bought cheap, bought young, develop, sell on at a profit. Okay?
Yep.
That's been his mantra since he was at the club.
Yeah, but to bring us to this level.
In the last two... No, it wasn't to bring us to this level. That's just how he was working, and that's all. It stagnated at that. But then I believe because of the way that the money's been coming through from the Premier League and Sky, the way other teams within the league have been doing, he suddenly clocked on that, actually, you know what? We do need to start keeping our players now. And I do believe that come the future, once we start getting the NFL money coming in, once we're in the new stadium, once the promotions, the naming rights of the stadium, the sponsorship deals get higher and higher, then he will start increasing the money. But I don't think he's going to say, I'm going to go out and buy that £100 million player. No. He's still going to say, I'll buy a 30 or 40, I'll buy a youngster that's going to come through. But he needs to stick to Pochettino, and not, if we have a bad season, get rid of him, because he's done it to what was his name before, the Dutchman that we had. Huh?
Van der Vaart.
No, the manager.
Yo,
Yo.
you forgot mine.
Yeah, Martin, I can't remember him. He did so well. We got us into the Champions League as well. He had a brilliant season. Then he did that thing we
He
discussed it last
didn't. He didn't
time.
get us into the Champions League. Harry did.
Well, he got us close to that.
They got us into Europe. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. And then he was building a nucleus of a team, and then they got rid of him. Harry started building a nucleus of a team and a style of play that we were all loving at the time. Got us into the Champions League. Did really well in certain games in the Champions League. Got rid of him as well. And I can see that if there was, for whatever reason, that Levy decides to do this, he would just get rid of Pochettino.
Well, there's a funny thing. I don't fully agree with you, but there's a funny thing in Brave New World, in the book that the new Guillaume Balaguer book that's out about Spurs, where Poch, he basically talks about where he really thought he was going to get sacked, and it was the Aston Villa game when Kane scored the winner. Do you remember that in 2014?
No.
It was Kane's first Premier League goal, where it was a deflected free kick and it went in. We won 2-1 at the end of the game.
Okay.
There's a bit in the book where he turns around to when we're losing 1-0, and he turns to his backroom staff and he says something along the lines of, "Guys, pack your bags, we're going to get sacked." And then Kane comes on and does what he does. And after that game, he said to his backroom staff, he doesn't really go into why he said this or who it was, but he says, "Guys, from now on, no one is going to interfere," because apparently loads of people were telling him what to try and do at Spurs. "We're going to do things our way." And that's when you saw the likes of Adebayor, Kabul, Aaron Lennon, all of them leaving basically, where he did things his way. And in the book, you've got Daniel Levy saying that he wants him to stay for the next 10 to 15 years, and where Poch is saying the same thing. So I don't think, if we have a really bad season, let's say we end up 10th, for instance, I don't think that Levy will sack him.
I most definitely would.
No, I disagree. I completely disagree.
This is what they're like, football chairman nowadays.
No, I disagree, because he's building something, okay, and he's not far off building something. So going back to my original point, I don't think that Daniel Levy is saying, you know what, these players are under these contracts and I don't care, they're going to stay here, they have to serve out their contracts and that's that. I don't care if they can be offered double or triple by other teams, they're under contract. He knows that when players are unhappy, you can't keep them.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's just take a look at the net spend of Spurs in the last 5 years. In 20th place is Swansea with a net spend of minus 1.34 million, which means over the last 5 years they've made money.
Yeah.
That was with that stupid Sigurdsson deal. We're next in 19th. We've only spent 3.2 million on average per season, which is less than the Championship clubs.
Yeah.
Okay, and so I think, first of all, where has that money gone? You've got to think about this. Yeah, we had a 36,000 capacity stadium, I understand that. But we were getting X amount of millions per year from Sky, okay? That's without the ludicrous season ticket prices that we have at White Hart Lane and the stupid burgers and whatever it is that's there. Where has all that money gone? He hasn't been pocketing it. He hasn't. Now, of course, it's going towards a new stadium.
Down payment towards the stadium,
of course,
because that's been through the banks.
Yes and no. What I believe is going to happen at the end of this season is we're gonna tie our players down to long-term contracts. I really believe this, because if he doesn't, Dele will be knocking on his door. Yep. Dyer will be. Toby will be gone. Yep. Okay. Kane as well. And Kane has every right to. It doesn't matter if he's one of us.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Pay the guy what he's worth.
Rose will be going.
Rose will be. I think he's gone anyway. So let's say those 5 players. Mm-hmm. Let's take Kane out of the situation.
Okay.
Let's say those 4 players. That's basically the spine of the side, other than Kane.
Yeah.
And if that happens, expect us to be around 6th or 7th. Mm-hmm. That's why he won't allow it. And if he does allow it, then my perception of him will be completely different to what it is now.
I would not put it past him.
Oh,
I do not have faith anymore. I'm a hardened, I'm a
I know
long-suffering Spurs fan.
Yeah, you know, git. It was your birthday, actually, wasn't it?
Yes. Forget about that. Okay.
Right.
Anyway,
So we
let's
have
go on.
small matter of Real Madrid at home.
Yes.
On
looking forward
Wednesday.
to it. Really looking forward
Really
to
looking
it.
forward to it. Right, give me your predictions for that game.
I can see us. Well, I don't know. It depends on how Real Madrid turn out.
Well,
Are they
Bale's
gonna
Bale's
bother-
out. Bale's definitely out.
Well, he
Kane,
was
Kane, we're
training
not
today.
sure.
No,
Yeah,
Bale. They said they've seen him training with the first squad.
he's been training for the
today.
last few weeks, though.
Yeah, but I can't see him play.
Not can I?
I can see us doing them. That's in my fantasy.
Doing them like Liverpool.
No. I like with the Dortmund.
Okay, but that was not far off Liverpool.
No, it was because we were conceding a lot of chances. And
Okay,
we just
yeah, I'll give
basically
you that.
outscored them. That's all it was.
Right.
And I can see us basically outscoring them, or I can see them doing us 3-0.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay,
It's
I
the Wembley
think.
factor that you've been saying.
Yeah,
For
right.
them, it's going to raise them because they're big time players. They've played there many times.
okay.
And they'll be out to do us.
I
I
think-
think they're wounded as well because they've lost their last game.
Yeah, okay. I think that it's going to be a score draw. I think it'll be 2-2. But I have a feeling that we may win 3-2. So I'm going with 2-2. But I wouldn't be surprised if we do not nick it. I think we may even go 3 goals up and then they come at us and get those 2 goals.
I can't see that happening.
So there's 2 predictions I've given there. I actually think
What
it's going to be
about those
2-2. Yeah, but I do think it's going to be 2-2. I think it's going to be a score draw. But in this other version of the game that I can see in my head, obviously my head doesn't want to be in my knees, is it?
Yeah.
Right. What I can see us is absolutely coming out the traps and mullering them, catching them off guard, okay, and them in the second half really coming at us and getting those 2 goals
I'd
back.
love to be in your dream world.
You wouldn't. You really wouldn't.
I would love to see us going out there and mulling them in the first half.
I just
Not
think
gonna happen.
I just think that we can't do what we did against Dortmund against them because they're Real Madrid. It's Real Madrid. You cannot give them the ball and say, "Come at us."
Yeah.
I mean, it's not going to happen like that. So we have to go at them.
Yeah, I know.
We
but I don't
have
think,
to. It's
I don't think
different.
They will.
No, but I think that we're going to have.
Don't think
We're going to
they
have.
the ability to do
I think we do, and I think we're going to have even possession in the first half. In the second half, it will be something like 70% to them. But I think if we can get the first goal, you watch the second
You
and
still don't
third
know
follow
Kane's
quickly.
playing.
I think he might. I really hope he does.
Yeah, exactly. If
Okay,
he's not
so
playing, then-
my fantasy world it involves Kane. He has to
yes,
be playing. Okay,
exactly.
Dele's back as well, so I think he's got something to show. It's the first time that he's going to play in the Champions League.
Can I just?
Oh no,
mention,
that's a lie. This season has been
Can
the
I
first
just
time.
mention Aurier?
Yeah.
What do you think of him?
I think that he's a good player, but I think that he needs to have a season at Spurs and a pre-season with Poch for him to become a Spurs player, maybe even 2 seasons, because he does have a ricket in him. He does, but I think that Poch needs time with him. Now, it doesn't mean just because Poch has time with any player, it becomes amazing. I don't believe that. But I think there is a player in him.
Yeah.
I think there's an athlete definitely in him. And I think
that's
that
all I think he is
if-
an athlete at the moment.
Okay, but what was Carl Walker? He was an athlete. Until 2 seasons ago, he was an athlete. For me, that's all he was.
He was an athlete.
Do you remember the game against
he had
Liverpool?
more pace than Aurier,
Okay, fair enough. But
and
no,
he could get past players, and I've not seen Aurier doing it yet.
right, nor have I. But I think that.
And also,
Or I want to
we
believe.
were sold this player who was the equivalent of Walker.
Oh, I
but
wasn't.
was better at crossing.
I
They were
wasn't
saying,
sold.
everybody was saying, yeah, we were sold it previously that he was a like-for-like player. He's got Champions League experience and he could cross the ball better than
No,
Walker.
I never.
And I've
Okay,
not seen that.
I did. If you go onto news now, you get to hear all sorts of things. But
Yeah.
the thing is, for £23 million, or I think it was euros actually, not
Yeah,
20,
yeah.
I think it was like £20 million. You're not going to get a world class player. You're not even going to get someone who's halfway to being world class. He wasn't. He was the second or third right back choice.
So you're saying that Walker is world class?
No, I don't think Walker's world class, but I think Walker is a better player.
I think
At the
Walker
moment, at this time,
is
he's a better player.
yes.
But let's not
Yes.
forget, Walker's 28 and Aurier's 24.
Okay.
So I believe that
I think by
if you
24
you
should be
have
showing
them,
what you are.
Walker, what was he showing at 24? I think that if they're on the same trajectory, okay, by 28, I believe that Aurier would be a better player. That's what I believe. That's what I'd like
don't
to believe.
So. I don't. I'd like to believe it, but I don't think he is.
Okay, so going back to Madrid, I think we've covered it, right?
Madrid, yeah.
So 3-2, I think we're going to come out and destroy them, or we're going to get a score draw.
I
Well,
believe-
3-2 if Kane plays.
My
2-0
heart
if he
is
doesn't.
saying 2-0 Spurs. My head is saying 3-0 the others. Which I hate to say, but I'm being a pessimist. By the way,
Yeah,
I've got one question, and one subject I'd like to raise.
go on.
It was on behalf of our friend Richard,
Yeah.
who asked us to mention it. What's going on with half and half flags, scarves?
I have no idea.
Good, that's all we need to mention
It's-
about it. That's it. We
it's-
don't need to
it's-
discuss it
it's-
any further.
Diabolical.
It's a joke.
It's. Oh, look,
It's just whatever numpty buys and half scarf does not even deserve to get into the stadium.
Okay, well, look, I was at White Hart Lane. The last time I went to White Hart Lane was when we beat Stoke 4-0 in February 26th of this year, when we just destroyed them in the first half. Remember, I was like sending you the WhatsApp stuff. And outside, it wasn't actually, well, I'd say about 200 metres from White Hart Lane, there was someone selling half Spurs, half Stoke scarves. And this might sound like I'm a Brexit dad, but the only people that were buying them there was a lot of like Koreans, or they were Chinese.
Tourists.
Tourists basically. I voted no for Brexit, by the way. So they were the ones who were buying it, and I think people are just playing on that. I would never think about
I
buying.
can't believe anybody would do it
No,
unless
I
they're
mean,
not a football fan.
No, but I think it's just for tourists. I think that's all it is. It's just a tourist trap. And so they're just going in saying, it's one of a kind and it's got the date on it.
Anyway, we've discussed it, Richard. Cheers, mate.
Right.
Move on.
So Richard, just so you all know, is a massive Man U fan. He's from London, like most of the United fans, and he will be on for the next time the show. I'm sure he will for the next time we play United at home or away again, depending on how you view Wembley. He will be on, so I can't wait for that. So we're not going to record until directly after the Palace game, and the Palace game is on Sunday the 5th of November, December, at 12 o'clock UK time, 2 o'clock Cyprus time. Come and see that with us at the Meeting Pub in Larnaca. There you go, that's the plug. What do you think is going to happen in that game? It is at home.
They're starting to fight a bit more, but they still didn't do too well. Although they came back and got a draw this weekend with Sahar. I think we're going to do them.
I think we're going to do them as well.
We're going to do them 2-3-0.
Yeah. Sahar is Zaha, should I say, not Saha. We had Saha.
Zaha.
Zaha is the player I would really like him at Spurs. He's hit and miss.
Yeah.
But again, he's the type of player that I think that
But he's more
Pochettino.
hit than Nkudu and
Nkudu just needs to go away.
Clinton and G.
Well, he has gone away.
All the
But
others that we've been trying to put in that role.
So I think that Wilf Zaha is a kind of player that Poch sees as a project.
Yeah.
I really believe, because he's got the physique, he has got the skill, he's got the speed. What he doesn't have is, I'm not saying, it would be a disservice to say it doesn't have the mind. He is a clever player, but sometimes he doesn't know when to play the pass. So his decision making isn't great, and I think that's where Poch and his team can really work on him and turn him into what I believe a world class player. Alex Ferguson said at the time that he was a world-class player, a potentially world-class player, and anyway, he left. We saw what Moyes did, so he's a player that I would love to see at Spurs. Absolutely love to see, because
we should have gone for him and we didn't.
Yeah, we didn't. We got Sissoko as well, or instead.
Anyway,
right. So
done that one to death with Sissoko.
Is that it then? Have we?
I think that's it for this week.
Now, what we are going to do, because it's going to be the international break. After the Palace game, we're going to have our quarterly season review. So we'll come up with loads of silly stats and take a look at where we are in the league, where we want to be, what's going on.
See if we can get any emails from you lot.
Yeah, so you can tweet us at Hotspur Way Show. The Facebook page and group will be properly up during the international break, as will the website. Okay, you can still go to Hotspur Way and see and get the latest shows. So you should be able to see this one, and also
any comments, any suggestions of subjects you want us to discuss as well would be great. We'd appreciate them.
Yeah.
And if we can do the live Twitter feed, whilst we're doing. Oh, we can't do a live Twitter.
What do you mean live Twitter? No, it's...
Forget that.
No, look. What Panny came up with a really good idea where he said that we take this on the road, and we basically go to a different city in Cyprus. Let's say once a month. I think that's a really good idea.
Yeah.
He then said doing Facebook Live and getting people to do forfeits, which
Yeah. Well, think
just
about it.
leave that for the time being. But I think this show's been alright, hasn't it?
Yeah.
This second show.
Yeah.
All right, good. So, anything else, mate?
No, that's it.
No.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, and we'll see you next week.
Yep.
Cheers.
Good night,
Bye-bye.
God bless. Bye.